and it's Wesley back here for the AIBC Summit Eurasia edition here in Dubai 2023. And today we have been speaking to some of the most fascinating people in the world of Web3 and blockchain. And with me, there is another person who I think knows his way a little bit around the Web3 space. This is Arvin Khamseh from Sold Out NFTs.
Right.
Now, how is it? We've known each other a little while, Arvin. This
Yes.
is not going to be the first time we're chatting.
Yes.
I was drawn to you. I think we met first in Toronto, actually at the
That's right.
AIBC Summit.
Yep.
And over there, I was instantly drawn to you because you have shown what I call the professional side of the NFT space. You actually had a face, and not just a pseudonym. And you also, what you brought to it was a lot of actuality, lots of real data in this world of NFTs. Now, before we get into that, what drew you to NFTs in the first place?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I was actually trading soccer cards.
Okay.
And so I was making not money, but I was actually getting, better so-called soccer cards by just winning inside these games with people. So the moment I heard about, NFTs, the concept made sense.
Okay.
And then, so my experience actually, so I did psychology in school. I worked at a research lab. So I actually have a paper, like a psychology paper with my name. So NIH research paper. And so I knew how to do research. I liked to look at numbers. I liked to read. And then when I came into the NFT, I already had a lot of marketing experience working with public companies. So the approach I took was more of an empirical approach than other people. And like sometimes people think like you're talking about like, I don't have a maybe NFT, like a PFP on my profile. I have a lot of NFTs, but I just don't want to, I just want to show my face basically. I want to actually create that where big companies, they feel comfortable approaching the industry.
I think it's a very important thing. I mean, again, no shame to anybody who is using a PFP,
Sure.
but it's very easy to create a profile and to be successful one day, to be very unsuccessful the next day, and then close down that profile and start up a new one and try to do it all over again. And the fact that when we put faces to people's work and put proper brands, it how should I put it? There's a little bit more of accountability, because if a project doesn't sell out, you're as accountable as to the ones that do sell out. But at least like this, you can find a track record. You can find mistakes. Now, your company is called Sold Out NFTs, so that's a very bold name. What gave you the idea to call it that?
Yeah, so I came into this industry thinking, okay, I want to work with these NFT projects. And by the way, the reason I actually started working with NFT projects is because I was doing a lot of paid ads for public companies, and then some Italian artists came to me and said, hey, can you do paid ads for NFTs? And I did it for this guy. He had a very small collection. We sold out in a week. This is back in October 2021. And then no one done ads in the Web3 back then. In fact, you could actually run ads. So we actually did something I don't think anyone's talked about, which is like we actually run ads directly to his pages on the exchanges, on the marketplaces.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't getting, back then, it wasn't getting restricted. And so, anyways, it worked for him. Now you can't do that, but there are other ways. But what drew me into it, I was like, okay, cool. This is obviously something I'm bringing from a different industry, and I want to actually bring the paid ads side of things into the Web3. But then along the way, I found out, okay, so there are alpha groups. There are, like influencer marketing. There's a lot of other things that you can do as well to be able to sell out collections. So initially, that was my thing. I was like, okay, I have something that I want to bring from a different industry to Web3. And I tried it out and it worked. And that's probably was my claim to fame back then.
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, so what are these people really wanting? They want to sell out their projects, especially back then, like 2021.
Yeah.
That was all people wanted, and everyone was selling out projects as well. So that was the other cool thing about it. And to add to what you're saying as well, I'm terrified sometimes talking about projects because these things get recorded on the internet, and then 2 years later, you never know what the founder of those NFT collections is gonna do with their project, right? So there is a lot of accountability, and I'm just okay with that. I just know, like, we all make mistakes. I'd rather be upfront with it and just say, hey, this is what it is, rather than just like hiding behind a PFP, and then you never have any problems, you never have anything to deal with, right? You always have a clean record on the Web3, but then at what cost? Like no one else trusts you to come in.
That's it. And this is one thing when trust needs to be built in this space. Now, the thing is, some brands aren't trusting NFTs as much. I mean, we had that whole Porsche fiasco a little while back. And I think it was Instagram today announced they're like rolling back all their efforts when it comes down to NFTs as well. Is this the end of NFTs?
So it's interesting because Reddit came in with 3 million active wallets that they've added to them. So that's more than, for the audience, that's more than what OpenSea, the largest marketplace, had as far as active wallets. So they came in and they didn't call it NFTs, and they were successful, and everyone loved the experience. So I see that we're just not going to call it NFTs, but NFTs are going to be there. Okay. And just like I believe Ticketmaster and some other companies, they've been talking about incorporating NFTs without actually even telling people. That's which is what it's supposed to be to begin with. Yeah. I think that's the direction we're gonna go. Is it's not gonna be like, hey, we have this cool NFT, come and buy it. It's gonna be like, hey, here's this cool project, and then you may not even know, but there's NFT in it. Right? So it's just like gaming as well. Like you play the games, but you don't even know there are NFTs. Oh yeah. Right, and that's the cool thing about that. It's not so much of, hey, everything is about the NFT, but the game sucks, right? So it's just we're actually getting our standards right.
That's exactly it. I mean, again, how many times do people ever ask, oh, this game was built in Unity, or this game was built in Unreal Engine 5? Nobody, when they're playing a game, is this game fun? Is this game not fun? Yes. And we just move ahead. So good. We're moving away from the buzzword and now moving into real use cases. Yeah. But it's bear market. I mean, everything's down. We've had the whole FTX thing, which doesn't directly relate to this, but the cost of the cyberpunk, the CryptoPunks, as well as the whole Bored Ape collections, they've all like sort of drastically shot down.
Yeah, 70+%.
Yeah, so they're down. Is this an end of a cycle? Or are we done with the projects, or do we see more interesting projects on the way?
So the way I see it is macro versus micro. Okay. And so on the macro level, obviously it's a bear market. Yeah. But on the micro level, there are some chains that there's a lot of excitement. Okay. So let's say Hedera, for example, they had $3 billion in research and development. There's excitement. There's a lot of money. You just go any startups right now, they just got funded. They're excited. Everyone's excited until obviously they get close to running out of the money. But so some chains like XRP, Polygon, because of Reddit specifically, and then XRP because of just everything that's happening with SEC versus Ripple. So there are certain chains that actually have a lot of excitement. So Bitcoin ordinals, for example, right? Yes. So right now, NFTs on Bitcoin, they're just going crazy. Yeah. Everyone's buying them because they're just thinking, what if this is just like the old days on Ethereum, right? And so they're buying these things right now, thinking it could happen, right? Speculating big time, but it could happen. So they're right, and so there's certainly right now I actually see there's an uptick in the purchase of NFTs, but I also see that's still on the, let's say, angel investors, on the individual level. On the institutions, it's actually gotten worse. So because they were worried about regulations. Now they're worried about the NFT collections just all going to zero, and then they can't really put their names on there anything. But individually, if you talk to even hedge fund, like we have a project, it's actually run by a CTO of a hedge fund. And so if you talk about individually, they get in, they're excited. But as an institution, they don't dare. They're
afraid of brand reputation and it not working, and them having a Porsche fiasco, and again, not understanding the community that they have as well as the NFT community, and trying to sort of go somewhere in between, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you talk about Porsche. So McLaren came in, they did really well. Yeah. Audi, some other collections, some other, I suppose, brand names of in the auto dealer, auto industry, they came in, they did well. Porsche just decided to do things in a certain way that was just not conducive in the direction they're actually going, and arguably they're not completely unsuccessful. So their floor price is actually higher. Oh wow! So yeah, it is higher than what people purchase. Okay. So technically, like you could say even they're okay, right? They didn't sell out.
Okay.
So those are definitions we came up with. It's socially constructed. Like we're like, you have to sell out. It's like, no, you don't have to sell out. And Porsche doesn't care they didn't sell out. The revenue is like, intact. Like they didn't care. They're gonna make a few $1 million from some collection. They cared about their brand. A lot of people talked about it. And I saw even like on their page, on their Twitter page, it's interesting because I was looking to see, okay, are they talking about it a lot? But they weren't. Because they're just kind of tiptoeing around it.
I
so
see.
They're afraid. I asked Dior the other day. I was on a panel with them. They just recently did a case study on AR.
Okay.
Right? AR is old. I'm like, you guys just got into AR? Like that's...
Oh, wow.
I remember years ago in... I want to say either it was London or New York City. I could see these. There was this store where you could actually see different shades. Like you could try it on without actually physically touching the shades.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so that's just AR, right? Now they came up with a filter for lipsticks. You can see what you look like. And then I'm like, okay, well, are you guys having anything to do with Web3? Are you guys going to enter? Not yet, right? So they're still watching. Yeah. They're still waiting, see how many more companies going to get in.
So if I'm a brand or if I have some form of IP, what would you say are the steps that you should take if you want to get into this space? And should you be doing it quickly or long term?
Yeah, so this is I want to say naturally we've actually gotten to the point where we create business plans for people inside the Web3. So Web3 business plans, right? That they can show it to investors and so on and so forth. But what's really special about it is I care about, the choice of blockchain, the price, the number of NFTs, when you drop it, how many times you drop it, who are you going to bring as advisors? Like example of Porsche, if you look at advisors, all advisors, nothing to do with NFTs, nothing to do with Web3, right? So there's certain things. And then also like, can you actually make it relatable to the Web3 people? Like, can you get their blessing basically, right?
Do you need to sell out a collection? So do the Web3 people need to be on board with it?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No, you don't need to. Like actually, this is interesting you say that. There's a project right now, it's a gaming project. It's actually, they produce AAA games. Now they're just getting into the NFT world. And they've done really well with games, multiple hits. And now they want to just do something in the NFT world. So they asked me, they're like, okay, so their mint is open. They're like, okay, this is not much. It's $100 per NFT. What if one person comes in, buys the entire project? Okay. I'm like, that's fine. You won't have a community from this project, but you can build a community after this. You can still sell out. That could be just that one person. It's just almost like I came to you, asked for money, you gave them money, and we started this game, and it's completely fine. Yeah. Now, do projects all follow through with their stuff? That's their obviously that's the project's choice. And having said that, selling out and also just selling out to the Web3 people is just part of the strategy. Like sometimes they just want to raise money. Doesn't matter who buys it. Sometimes they want to have, let's say, users for their games. That's not a good idea to just go for Web3 community because Web3 community not necessarily all gamers, and gamers don't necessarily care about NFTs. So you just go after the gaming community, get a lot of members there. So it's really important, the intention, right? So, and if your intention is just raising, let's say, a few mil to launch a game or something like that, then it doesn't matter who's part of your community. You can build on top of that, right? You sell out and then you build on top of it. So.
Okay. Just one last thing. You've been at the AIBC Summits now. This is not your first time. I think this is your third event that you've joined. Now, in this particular summit, what has been a standout moment for you so far?
Okay, so obviously, I love actually the speakers. So I was sitting on a panel with them and just talking, actually asking questions that is not only is relevant to me but also relevant to the community, and so understanding like what's preventing, for example, VCs getting into the NFT world, right? They're still watching, right? Okay. So a lot of them, and then so just getting some insight from like real people in the industry. I found that very useful. It's just AIBC is providing that platform where we just can come in, because maybe on Twitter space, sure, everyone, under their profile, a lot of people, just like you were saying, they don't even show their face. They say a lot of things they don't believe,
Yeah.
Right? When you're in like real person, just like sitting next to someone, you ask them a question, you get a specific answer. Like that's, it's just a real life experience, right? So that's really valuable to me. Getting to know speakers, and then also just, you never know, like the audience, sometimes these guys coming in, this is their first interaction with Web3, NFT. Maybe they just came in for gaming. Now they're just like, oh, there's this Web3 as well. And so it's just getting to know people. That's also really cool.
Oh, fantastic. Arvin, thank you very much for joining us here on the AIBC channel. We are going to be back, though, with more amazing speakers, more amazing talent, and more amazing thoughts from the Web3 space here at the AIBC Summit. Thank you again, Arvin.
Thank you for having me.